Welcome back, it's me Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review. And today, from the DC Multiverse line of action figures by McFarlane Toys, we have Superman Jon Kent. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar with this character, Jon Kent is the son of Superman Clark Kent and his wife Lois Lane. If I remember correctly, I think the character was first introduced back in maybe 2015 in the comic book Convergence Superman issue number 2. So this was the tail end of what was known as the New 52 era. And I think during the Convergence comic book story, what they were attempting to do was kind of like merge post-crisis Superman with the New 52 era Superman, because I think shortly after the New 52 ended, they kind of went into DC Rebirth. New 52 and Rebirth, they're kind of like DC's way of kind of like consolidating and kind of rewriting the continuity, so it's a little bit more friendly to like new readers and stuff. Personally, I think it's annoying, but you know, for whatever reason, they felt the need to like end the New 52 and move forward with Rebirth. But yeah, this was a character that was introduced towards the tail end of the New 52 era, and then when Rebirth came around, Jon Kent was actually introduced as a much younger character than this one here. He was kind of like, I want to say preteen, adolescence, you know, roughly around the same age as like Damian Wayne at the time, so anywhere between maybe like, I think anywhere between 11 and 12 years old. But that at some point, some years ago, they kind of decided to accelerate Jon Kent's age in the comic books. So they sent Jon away into the far future where he joined the Legion and he hung out with them for a while. And then when he was reintroduced, he was brought back as, you know, kind of like this young adult character, which we see right here. So this is Superman Jon Kent. This is a nice figure too, because it's, you know, surprisingly, it's kind of a, you know, almost near current look of the character. I think the only thing he might be missing is the cape, if he has the cape right now. It's actually been a while since I've read the books. But the reason why he's also called Superman here is, so the last time I remember when I was reading the Superman books, this was at least a year ago, or if not a little bit longer than that, I think Superman himself went on some missions, like away. He left Earth and he was out in space or something. So I think Jon took up the mantle as Superman, and he was kind of Earth's new protector. So I think that's why he's referred to as Superman right here. So this is DC Future State. On the back, nice fig photography of Jon as we see him. So let's get started. So personally, I didn't like it when they accelerated Jon's age. I kind of felt that it was cool having a younger, like preteen Superboy character. I thought it was great when they paired him up with Damian Wayne, aka Robin, and they kind of had their own comic book for a while. It was called Super Sons. It was fun, lighthearted, which I kind of think, you know, at least what I think comic books need nowadays, especially the superhero ones. You know, it was a fun take on the characters. It was nice seeing Jon being paired up with Damian, especially since they're such polar opposites. You know, Damian was raised by the League of Assassins, whereas Jon he grew up on a farm, you know, with his folks. So, you know, they couldn't be any more opposite than that. So with the action figure, you get a flight stand, which is nice. We've seen this before, and you also get a trading card. It's awesome that you get an extra set of hands with Jon as well. You get a fist and an opened up hand. And the stock hands, there's one fist here and another open hand. So if you wanted to, you could give him both open hands. If you wanted to make him look like he's flying, or if you want to make him look like he's ready to tussle, just give him two fists. I'm really impressed with the figure right now as I'm looking at it. It's nice seeing a much leaner body design. Like a lot of the figures we've gotten in the past, they're always so bulky, especially with like if they have armor or capes. This guy's just very streamlined, you know, if I had to word it, you know, very lean, very sleek. And let's take him out. So one figure I was recently really impressed with was the Rebirth Deathstroke figure. And one thing I liked about that figure, much like this one, is that he was also a very sleek, lean action figure. And since he wasn't hindered by like capes and body armor, just trying to articulate the figure was very, very natural. Everything kind of just seemed to flow and move really well. And that's what I'm kind of having right here. I'm hoping that this guy's kind of more of the same. One thing I'm noticing right now that his arm is slightly warped, as you can see right there. That's due to the way he was stored in the box. Let me adjust my lighting a little so we can get some cleaner lighting on him. Just give me a moment. I'm getting a lot of the red's coming out a little bit too saturated. Let me see if I can balance that out. All right, let's try this. This might fix it up. Now that's a little bit worse. Here we go. We'll do this. White paper towel. There you go. It balances out the colors better. All right. So as I mentioned earlier, his arm is kind of a little bit warped right there, and that's no fault of the figure. That's just the way the figure was stored in the tray. I can easily fix that. You know, submerge this in hot water and just kind of gently bend it back in place, and then problem solved. The figure looks excellent. I love the head sculpt. The hair looks really awesome. It's kind of like a wild, tousled kind of look. He has the spit curl on his draped over his forehead, much like his father. If anything, I think the look is a little bit too serious. You know, he's a much younger character. I think I would have preferred a much more enthusiastic expression on his face as opposed to like the one we're given. But it's not to say it's a bad expression though. You know, it's really well sculpted. I like the fact that his eyes are looking directly at me as opposed to the side eye we've been getting from other figures. He has a really nice jawline, as you can see. It really embodies that Superman look. You could definitely tell he's, you know, the son of Superman. And if you wanted to, you know, if you have another Superman figure, for example, maybe like Rebirth Superman, or like, you know, I think it was like the Action Comics Superman, you can easily do a head swap. And if you wanted a younger version of Superman, I think this is a great alternative. This head sculpt right here. It's a very modern take on the character. You know, he has nice sideburns, decent haircut. One thing that's kind of bothering me right now. Oh, this is odd. Okay. Yeah, for a second I didn't understand what was going on. So, McFarlane figures, they have that ball socket butterfly joint, and when I was looking at it, it kind of threw me off that the joint here was blue. I would have preferred if it was red, but if you look carefully, they actually did that. Half of the ball socket butterfly joint is actually blue and red. You just have to kind of adjust it in the right position so it'll line up with the shoulder. Like that. So it could provide for a little cleaner look, you know, once you lined the ball joint with the shoulder and then the chest. And as you can see here, when it's misaligned, it looks like this. So just kind of adjust it if it's possible. Some of these ball joints don't always want to move in the correct way. There you go. Yeah, so you can easily align it for a much smoother look and transition. I do like how this costume design is with the younger Superman, how the chest emblem kind of bleeds into the shoulders with the red. And if you're wondering, this is actually a relief detail. You can actually feel the emblem on his chest. It's not just strictly painted on. It's actually a sculpt, which is nice. I love the way the ab cut is. It's so much cleaner as opposed to what McFarlane gave us, like when the line first started. For example, this is one of the earlier McFarlane figures, and it's kind of atrocious. If you see the previous ab cut, it was such a terrible design. You know, they tried to cut it underneath the upper abdomen muscle right there, and it's kind of jagged, zigzaggy. But here they do such an improved job of, this giving you a cleaner look. So, the last few years, it's kind of amazing the leaps and bounds McFarlane Toys has made. When you compare, like, the earlier releases as opposed to where they are now. The sculpting has definitely gotten a lot better. Same with the likeness. So it's really awesome. Great figure so far. He has a nice utility belt design right there. It's a little kind of futuristic looking. Much like some of the modern Superman designs, his briefs is the same color as his uniform. If you grew up in the 80s, or if you grew up, if you grew up like, even like during Superman's early history, like way back when, we're so used to having his briefs being red on the outside. But I think this kind of works. Normally I'm opposed to it. I do like the red briefs over the tights. But, since this guy doesn't have a cape and he's a slightly more modern take on the character, I think it kind of flows well. Likewise, his boots are kind of redesigned. These aren't like his father's boots. Superman Senior, his boots come up to like almost below the knee, whereas this guy's is slightly above the ankle with kind of like a elongated ridge towards the top. Cuffless design. There's nothing going on there. It's just a sleeved arm. Again, much like the front, I like how they cut the torso towards the back and the lateral muscles right here. It's a much cleaner look. Yeah, so far on the sculpting, I'm liking it a lot. Let's take a look at the articulation. So this guy's head rotates left and right. Does he look down? Yeah, he looks down. It's pretty decent. I have a feeling, though, looking up might be an issue. We'll see. Yeah, he doesn't really look up, which is unfortunate. It seems like the back of his hair is kind of pressing against his neck. So he doesn't really have an upward range of motion for flying, which is unfortunate. With this being a flying character, it'd be nice if you could get him in a really cool flying pose with his head back, but that's not going to be the case. As I pointed out earlier, butterfly joint for extended range of motion, arm swivel, cut at the bicep, so you have a swivel there. You have double pinned elbows, and then articulated wrists. The ball joint doesn't seem as bad on this figure as it does on other ones. Generally the ball joint for the wrist, it's kind of like, it's almost like tennis ball shaped, but it seems like here they've kind of corrected the shape of the joint. It's not so much a ball as just rounding it off at the correct corners. So I think it's a slightly cleaner look, but at the same time, as you look, it looks a little bit bulbous right there. And then I think the paint application is kind of wearing away in certain areas also. Now, I might fall into the minority here, but I'm not a big fan of double pinned elbows if the joint cuts into the bicep. I think it's a kind of sloppier look. Like for me, I prefer a single joint below the bicep and just having the complete bicep muscle being solid. And as you can see, his hand just fell off. Because for me, it's kind of like, how often does a character need to bend their elbow, like all the way up like this? For me, I enjoy just being able to bend it like this, and if the bicep muscle looks clean, I can live with that. But, that's more of personal preference, and it's like I said, I know I fall in the minority with that. I think a lot of people do prefer more articulation, but for me, I just like a cleaner, streamlined look on the bicep. Ab crunch, doesn't crunch forward, doesn't arch back all that much. I think that might be the sacrifice of the cleaner design here. He's not going to want to crunch forward. For his waist, mine is surprisingly tight. It seems like there's some resistance when I try to swivel him at the waist. It's there, I can feel it, but mine's just not turning. That could probably be alleviated if I heated up this part of the body. His legs kick up about that much, which is alright. sidekick out, splits, traditional leg construction as with the other McFarlane figures. And there is, I never realized this until recently, but some figures, they do have thigh swivel. I just didn't realize it, because on a lot of my figures, the joint is just super tight. But on other figures, like this one, it's a little bit looser, so you could swivel above the thigh like that. Double pinned knees, ankle articulation, toe articulation. Very stock for a McFarlane figure. Yeah, I'm impressed with this guy. I think it's a great looking figure. For me, I actually like this figure a little bit more than the previous released Superboy figure that we got. That one, I don't know. I had some issues with the color choices there. I think it was supposed to represent Superboy from Death Metal, but he was, I think, mislabeled, like Crisis Superboy. And I think that kind of threw me off. But yeah, this is a great figure. If I had to rate this guy on a scale of 1 to 10, I don't know, solid 8.5. No more, no less. It's a really cool, youthful take on the character. And if you're a fan of the modern comics and you like Jon Kent, I think it's a must purchase. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that eventually they'll give us the much younger version of Jon. And I think it'd be cool if they gave us a 2-pack with him and Damian. But yeah, overall, great, solid figure. I think it's awesome. Alright, so let's wrap this video up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So, until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. Alright, later.